when I try to read Quran, I feel like 100-pound stone on me. And can you ask Roger that if he can give me advice that help me take control?
This way, it is through association. You understand what that means? This way, it is through association. What is this way? This is the way of Islam. This is the way of Tarikat. It is only with association. If you don't have association, you cannot carry the religion so well, so successfully. It is only with association. We have one brother from Turkey. He's going through some difficulties. He's trying to control his nafs. He's saying, but it's very difficult for him to pray and to read Quran and do those kinds of things. The way of Islam, so many people in these days especially, they're thinking, if I want to become a good Muslim, first thing I have to do is to pray more and read Quran more. We're not telling people don't pray and don't read Quran. But we are saying, it's like that man who is sick. And he says, what I have to do is I have to eat more healthy food and I have to exercise more. But he's not understanding, before you can do that, you have to take medicine to get rid of your sickness. Correct or no? So when we are very far away from Allah, when we are very far away from ibadat, when we are very far away from the friends of Allah and we are close to our ego, we're close to shaitan, and these are the sicknesses, these are the diseases. More you're trying to run to Allah, but you're bringing your shaitan and you're bringing your ego with you, the more they're going to pull you back. You're only now trying to go to Allah, but you've been with your ego and shaitan your whole life. You think shaitan and the ego is going to say, goodbye, sir, so long, you're going to Allah, now we let go. No, it's going to put up a fight. It's going to say, no, you're not going to leave us. So how a person is going to have more control of his ego? First, like a person who is sick. First, don't try to even diagnose your own sickness. These days, you have some symptoms, you go online and you try to find out what those symptoms are. Suddenly, before you know it, you're going to say that you have cancer, you're going to die, you have this, you have that, 1,000 million things. Because you're reading everything and you are not trained to understand it. And you think it all applies to you, but it doesn't. You are sick. First thing you have to do, the intelligent person, he has to go and find a doctor. That doctor is going to say, maybe you have a stomach pain and you think you have, may Allah not test us with it, you think you have cancer, stomach cancer, because it shows everything there when you're reading. But maybe it's just because you ate too much spicy food the night before. Or you've been eating spicy food for the past week and something is burst there because of that strong acid. The thing is, we are sick spiritually, if first you have to find a doctor. You want to try to pray, you can pray, of course you must pray. But it's going to be difficult? Yes, definitely. You're going to try to read the Quran. Reading the Quran just like that, like a robot, back and forth, it has some blessings, definitely. Just by looking at Ayatul Karimah, even if you don't understand, it brings you light and it brings you blessings. But here we're not asking for blessings, we're asking to cure ourselves from shaitan and our ego, the biggest, greatest enemy. You cannot find the biggest, greatest enemy. You cannot fight them using a water gun, using your belt. You cannot fight them like that. You need to bring out the big guns. So, first you find a doctor. then that doctor will understand you and is going to say certain things to you to give you direction. Maybe you want to, I want to pray more, I want to do things. Maybe the doctor is going to say, don't concentrate on that so much. For right now, it can fill you up with some boost and you are going to go up and down a lot. But after a while, you're going to get very tired, because after a while, you're going to lose steam and you're going to lose faith, thinking that the prayer is not going to help you, so why pray? You try so much and Allah is not helping. Astaghfirullah. Because you don't understand the nature of your sickness. This is the point. Tell those ones to be quiet a little bit. Not you. Sohbat going on, try to be quiet. Just through this door. Otherwise, I'm going to send them home. So first, you have to understand your sickness. Don't try to understand the sickness by your own self. If you understand the sickness by your own self, you would have cured yourself long time ago. And that is not the protocol anyway. The whole nation was sick and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala sent down the Holy Prophet ﷺ. People today, they're running after the Quran. They're running after the Quran. They say, read more Quran, then you're going to solve the problems that you have and the problems of this world. I'm not saying that the Quran is not a cure, but I'm saying even that cure, if it is in the hands of ignorant people, he is going to use it only to damage himself and others around him. And the Quran is not a normal cure, it is an extraordinary cure. And people are taking the Quran now and they're going in every different direction, thinking that the Quran does not have an owner too. And if we say the owner of the Quran, it is the Holy Prophet ﷺ, they're going to say we're making a shirk. But you don't even follow what the Prophet ﷺ is speaking and explaining that Quran, because everyone is taking the Quran and understanding it from his own nafs. Because the Quran did not come down to us, it came down to the Holy Prophet ﷺ. And those who spoke on his behalf after he was veiled. And those who spoke on their behalf after those ones are veiled, continuing. So there are always protectors of this way. You can take the way, you're not following the protectors, you don't like them, and you want to follow your own way. That is a time when there's going to be conflict and chaos everywhere. Never before in the history of Islam there are more Muslims now reading the Quran. Correct? Knowing Arabic and reading and memorizing, maybe. Never before. But knowledge of Islam and knowledge of Ihsan and knowledge of the Iman, it is lowest form, lowest level, never before we have seen. So it is not through too much reading now. Because if you read with your eyes of your ego, that's not reading. You can go up and down, but you're going up and down praying with your ego, that's not going to give you too much benefit too. So now you want to learn. You want to learn what? People who enter into spirituality, they want to become what? You want to go up and down to become a person who worships a lot? That's different. So many, they worship a lot too. Once upon a time, Azazil, Shaitan, he worshipped a lot too. What do you want to do? You want to learn and to become an alim? All the alims of this world combined together, you cannot match yourself against Shaitan too. Shaitan knows the knowledge of not one book, all 4 books, all 104 books. He was there from the beginning. He was there before Adam alayhi salam was manifested. So, now it is not through that knowledge too. What do you want to become? We want to become what? You say, I want to become religious, to become what? Some people, they enter into religion or tarikat too. It is only continuation of their nafs too. They become better, yes. but they just want to get a good job, have their children married, get married, do things. It is still dunya. It is still dunya. You still want the same things that people outside, they also want. People outside, they want the same thing too. But what makes this different? What makes you giving bayat or being in tarikat different? We are doing this because we want to be Abdullah. We want to become good servants to Allah. So before we are going to worship too much, before we're going to do zikr too much, before we're going to do all these things, because especially if you haven't been doing it for a long time, you start praying a little bit, you start making zikr a little bit, certain things may open. Your veils may lift up very quickly, you may witness. That time if the person's ego is not trained, he start to see himself as a saint. Start to see himself very high. His ego is going to trick him again in the way of Allah. So now, what do you want to become? You want to become Abdullah. How do you become Abdullah? You're going to understand now what is standing between you and your Lord. You're going to understand, yes, my ego, my nafs. But a lot of people are saying, I find it difficult to pray, I find it difficult to read Quran. The difficulty is not coming out because you are reading and you are praying. The difficulty is there before you read the Quran, before you pray. Because you are being with your shaitans and your ego outside of worship, outside of prayer. So when it comes to prayer time, you're still bringing them with you. Do you understand? So we have to know now what is our intention and our actions, everyday intention. What is it that we are doing? What is it that we are looking at? What is it that we are thinking? What is it that we are, who is it that we are hanging out with? All those things there. All those things that we are doing, is it for Allah or is it for our ego? Is it for our spirit or is it for shaitan? You cannot now be busy with your ego and shaitan outside and suddenly you are going to put the sajjada there and to pray and shaitan is just going to leave you. He's not. You've been carrying him. Yeah, he's on your shoulders. You've been carrying him the whole time. Especially now in prayer time, that's when he's going to really try to control you. So we must learn and we must see what things that we are saying, what things that we are thinking, our intention, our actions, that is pulling this shaitanic energy, that it is being in the dunya. We cut off from those things, then that time start praying and you'll see how your prayer is going to be so easy. And your prayer is going to be a prayer. Your prayer is not to stand up proudly like so many Muslims like this and say Allahu Akbar. But in reality they're saying Allahu Akbar, I am the greatest. That prayer now you're going to come and say, Ya Rabi, I'm not worth to be here. You pulled me out from that dirtiness. And I'm trying to pray to you. I'm being very weak. I'm just trying to be.
It will give you some boost for you now to go out, and when you're outside, you see, okay, this kind of person, I should not be hanging out too much because he has wrong characteristics. And I am going to be influenced by those wrong characteristics. This type of people, I'm not going to talk too much to them because they make me to just be in Malayani. To be talking things that has no benefit to me. I'm not going to become. You're going to now look at your intentions and your actions more carefully. And you're going to be very selective. What you're going to do. That's the time you can keep yourself clean and strong. If you don't watch yourselves outside of prayer and outside of zikr, then don't expect your prayer and your zikr to be strong, to be doing it in the presence of Allah. Because you are not in His presence outside of that. How can you be that time? Just come magic. This religion is not based on magic. So first, find a guide. You find a guide, he'll be able to guide you. For some people, he may say, pray. For some people, he may say, don't concentrate, put that too much on your shoulders, try to pray. But be more sincere. Because you didn't pray for such a long time, you try praying a little bit, and Shaitan will get more upset with you, and you don't know how to control it. Because some people, of course, 5 daily prayers, everyone has to pray, try to pray. It's between you and Allah. I cannot force you to do it, I cannot force you not to do it. It's between you and Allah. Well, some people find that they get some boost and they keep praying and praying and praying and praying and praying. Then after a while they cannot carry because it comes with heaviness too. Then they just drop it, then they become more broken than before. So we say, we need to balance it a little bit. Our way is not the way of scholars. Our way is the way of Tarikat. The way of Tarikat, the Shaykhs are going to say sometimes we're going to pat you very nicely. Sometimes, if that doesn't work, we're going to smack you very nicely. And so many times, like they say in Turkish, one smack, it is better than 1,000 words of advice. Turkish tarikats, no one can come near to Turkish tarikats, anyway. Because the whole point is now for the person to become better, to have a good heart, to have good actions, good thinking, not to go up and down worshipping so much. So many, they're worshipping, they're not good. Not to be just reading the Quran like that. So many reading the Quran doesn't go past their throat. So we're here to become good people. May Allah make us to be those ones, inshallah.
Amen.
May Allah forgive us all our wrong actions, all our wrong intentions, all our weaknesses. May Allah, for the sake of the Prophet, may Allah make us to stay in this way until we die.
Amen.
ومن الله توفيق الفاتحة. Assalamu alaikum.